Magical realism is a genre that found its home firmly within the annals of Latin American literature. The writers of the genre gave voice to the normalized madness of the time. Despite the massive popularity of the genre in the 20th century, an exact definition is difficult to give. However, respected literature professor Matthew Stretcher defines magical realism as what happens when a highly detailed, realistic setting is invaded by something too strange to believe. In the library that is world history, Guyana's autobiography is placed firmly within the genre of magical realism, and the 2020 general and regional elections is merely the latest chapter in this complex and at times contradictory story that is Guyanese post-colonial politics. Welcome to another edition of For the Culture Guyana. According to the YouTube algorithm, this is the episode you've all been waiting for. It's the one where we address the ongoing general and regional elections, or as I like to call it, the story of the world's longest elections. But since we're talking about the algorithm, help us out and hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more great content. In most democratic nations, a national election is considered a normal exercise for its citizens. While a level of tension is common in any election season, the quick and peaceful transition of power following a national poll is often considered the hallmark of a functioning democracy. However, this is not the case in Guyana. Despite being a democracy, there is an unspoken belief that one party has the mandate to rule Guyana. And which of the two political behemoths has that mandate? Well, that depends often on your ethnicity, your class, and your political ideology. With that being said, we begin our tale on the night of December 21st, 2018. With the passage of the no confidence motion in the National Assembly, the David Granger administration had fallen. Or at least they said they did, but then took it back after Nigel Hughes proposed a mathematical formula that had the government and the opposition in and out of court, up until the case actually reached the Caribbean Court of Justice some 6 months later. Fast forward to March 2nd, 2020, Elections Day. Voting is said to be good, no complaints from the local parties, nor from the local and international observers. Everybody seemed to be pretty chill with the whole thing for the most part. That was until March 5th, 2020. Returning officer for District 4, or Region 4, Claremont Domingo, read the results of the nation's largest voting district, Region 4, from a spreadsheet of mysterious origin. The results were in favor of the APNU-AFC. This immediately triggered an upheaval in the building, with members of various opposition parties calling for him to stop reading immediately and to produce the origin of the spreadsheet because the original verification process had yet to be completed for Region 4. There were angry cries from the opposition, and at one point a large crowd of people who we presume were all allowed to be there, hopefully, but the nonetheless attempted to bum rush the office of the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, retired Chief Justice Claudette Singh, in order to check on her well-being, or at least that's what they said because they hadn't heard from her for hours. And she ends up escaping into the night with no word and actually disappeared for 2 whole days. No, I'm serious. She disappeared for 2 whole days. You can do a web search and look that up. It's crazy. Anyway, the process is suspended, people are ejected from the building, and needless to say, high drama evening. Unfortunately, it only got worse the next day. March 6, 2020. This was the day when things turned deadly. Protests flared up along the Berbice coast. However, by midday, some of the protesters became violent and ended up throwing rocks at school buses, thus injuring school children with said rocks who were on said school buses, burning debris. They also blockaded roads, they damaged public property, and they fought police officers. In fact, clashes between protesters and police resulted in 1 death and dozens being injured. March 12, 2020. Riaz Hollander, the personal assistant and nephew of former Legal Affairs Minister Anil Nandalal, filed an injunction blocking the announcement of an overall winner of the March 2nd elections once it included Mingo's numbers. Acting Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire ruled in favor of Hollander. Unfortunately, we may never know why Hollander would bring such a case to the courts, as he committed suicide, unfortunately, some 2 weeks later. March 13th, 2020. Region 4 verification commences. Sorta. Not really. Sorta. For some reason, GECOM requests a move to better facilities at the GECOM Secretariat, presumably in order to go through the process in a fair and transparent manner that will make everyone happy. And by a better facilities and better transparent manner, I mean they moved to an outdoor tent and they used an old projector to show blurry copies of the statements of polls, and they projected them onto what appears to be a dirty bed sheet. Not Mingo's spreadsheet, but a dirty bed sheet. Anyway, the Organization of American States gets tired of the whole game and leaves, and they aren't alone, as the EU and the Carter Center have also basically given up at this point too, sort of. Yeah. March 14th. Seeing all of this happen, President David Granger then invites a CARICOM high-level team to oversee a recount of the votes. Opposition leader Barrett Jagdeo agrees to this. March 16th. The CARICOM team and gang arrive at the Arthur Chung Conference Center, but GECOM claims to still be working out the modalities of the process and denies them access. At approximately 3:30 p.m., GECOM officials issue a press release stating that they need signed authorization by President Granger, opposition leader Jagdeo, and the CARICOM team before they can accommodate the request for the recount. They also advise that the building needs to be sanitized for the Rona before they can allow entry. No, wait, actually, they had to spray the place for ants. The place had to get sprayed for ants. So the process was thus slated to recommence the following day. March 17th. The process did not recommence the following day. Former APNU candidate Yulita Moore approached the High Court to file for an injunction to stop the process on the basis that... Now, I'm sorry, guys. This whole court business is actually pretty convoluted and annoying, so we're just going to skip that. But if you want to learn more about it, just go do a web search or something. Just know the process paused yet again. March 30th. The PPP appeals the decision and wins. Despite APNU-AFC's adamance that it won the elections, the AFC suggests a power-sharing agreements with the PPP nevertheless. March 31st. Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire makes it absolutely clear that GECOM is now free to conduct the recount. April 1st. A GECOM meeting to decide the way forward is postponed on the grounds that GECOM needs to study the ruling from Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire on where to go in terms of the process. April 8th. GECOM begins discussion of modalities of recounts, which basically means the commissioners argue back and forth with no agreements in sight. April 15th. Reports of a mysterious dossier surfaced that, according to PNC executive member Joseph Harmon, was paid for by members of the Guyanese diaspora in order to counter the PPP's narrative of the elections. Although how much good it was is really up for debate, as it had a set of inaccurate information, including a claim that President David Granger is actually a U.S. citizen. April 16th. The back and forth and GECOM as to how the recounts will occur continues, and they... Again, like literally, this just goes on and it's annoying, so let's just skip fast forward and just go to Wednesday, May 6, 2020. The recount finally starts. It is slated to be 25 days long. It's not. And so, I'll just cut it short here, and I'll just basically summarize the month of May. The whole month of May is basically the parties taking turns lobbing accusation after accusation of electoral fraud at each other. Now, this brings us into the first week of June with around 200 some odd ballot boxes remaining, and the recount has now been extended to June 13th, and 3 days later, GECOM is expected to give its final declaration. That is, assuming no more random people decide to bring up another court case. Also, keep in mind, I didn't even bring up the accusations of the voting dead, not the walking dead, the voting dead. The Russian interference in the elections as if we're 2016 America. And a person's paid to spread propaganda and all the other various different propaganda bots that were out there, and all the far too strange to believe stories that basically came out of this. And I'm pretty sure just, even on its surface, having a nation of 800,000 people take 3 months to count its votes is already strange enough. But in a land teeming with magical realism, having the world's longest election in history is nothing strange. It's just another day in Guyana. So, that's where we are so far. What do you think? Who do you think won this election and why? Do you have some really strange conspiracy theory as to what's going on? Tell me, because I want to know. Because either way, at this point, I really don't care. I'm tired of this all, and I'm clearly annoyed. I don't even know why I have to do this video in the first place. It's this long in. Come on, I should be talking to you guys about some fun about history or some other mess or something about the oil. But no, I'm here talking about the election. This should have been over months ago. And to all of you who are going to get mad at me and try to defend this farce as if it's something serious, talking about democracy and all this, I don't care. Y'all need Jesus. For real. Allowing this election to go on this long is absurd and unreasonable under normal circumstances, but in the face of a global pandemic, this is just plain unconscionable. Yes, I'm aware America is currently on fire, and you know what? Black Lives Matter. Am I being unreasonable just how negatively I feel about Guyanese politics? Tell me. Let me know in the comments. And when you're done, check us out on Facebook, where we post more great content on Guyana's place in current events, geopolitics, history, entrepreneurship, and more. Sorry, you can already tell I'm pretty riled up. Yes, but I'm glad you're still watching. Since you're still here, go ahead and watch our other videos and hit that subscribe button if you hadn't. Subscribe to For the Culture. And of course, thanks for watching. Do it for the culture.